This is where it helps to have 3 hands, or to know what you're doing. And unfortunately, when it comes to tearing down laptops, that's kind of a in the air kind of thing. And you can have experience of tearing apart dozens of laptops, and then you'll come across one you've never worked on before, and it'll be the one that, you know, as the saying goes, breaks the camel's back. So I've removed those 2 screws, or those screws that go to that. I think the only ones I have left are the ones that go to the wireless card on the rear. So let's go ahead and remove the not the screws, but the cables that go to the wireless card in the back. So if you have to remove the screen, you're going to have to remove these 2 antennas, because every laptop has the antenna for the wireless card going to the screen. Alright, so as you can see, there's these 2 wireless. Let's see, it looks like white's main, black is auxiliary. So then this will come through on the other side. And that actually should be relatively easy because there's a hole right there to put it back. Then we'll take the display cable out. And now the screen has been completely detached. Alright, now let's take a quick look at this unit here. There's some sort of ribbon that goes here. Looks like the ribbon has been damaged. Okay, so there's a header board. I should just slide this thing to the left a little bit. There's a header board right here that goes to this power on system. So we can just pluck that out. There's a CMOS battery. You're going to clear your CMOS is officially cleared after you do that. So just note that that means no more date and time. And then the last one is right there. This is actually the Synopsys pad plug-in. So we'll remove that one, and then the palm rest should be free to be removed. Then basically it's a very simple process of replacing what you need to replace. You got your CPU hidden under here. This is a Centrino mobile chipset. Sometimes people blow their speakers, so you got your speakers right here. The speakers in this thing is actually pretty decent. You have the subwoofer right here, which ironically you have to replace on the inside, which is a little bit weird. Your GPUs here, you got your heat sinks here, your 2 fans, the heat pipe the copper heat pipes right here for them. Sometimes you have to actually tear these down and actually clean these. And I hate to say this, but I think these fans are actually pretty dirty. I might actually have to clean them. But one thing that's different about this particular system than most systems is the fact that these actually it's the 2 fans in this thing, I think it only has 2 fans, actually have LED or RGB LEDs in them. So there's actually going to be a couple extra pins going to them or around them, I'm not actually sure. Let's get the GPU cooler out of here. It looks like all I have to do, actually it looks like it's also the chipset cooler, because there's 2 screws that go to this heatsink to the chipset cooler. And there's the screws that tack the entire GPU down. So it looks like there should be 4 screws to the GPU. The other screws actually go to the heatsink. Those are actually security screws. I do have the bit to do that, but in general, you're probably going to find this GPU as basically a whole piece. So you'll find the entire graphics card. Oh, that chipset actually is not part of that. Okay. I looked like the heatsink was attached. Wow, I'm actually kind of glad I took that out, because that thing was just disgustingly dirty. But there's your GPU and the connector. This there's your GPU, and then there's the connector goes to the motherboard. This is all heatsink, which can be removed, but generally when you order this part, it'll come with the heatsink and the GPU if you have to replace it. And then let's go ahead and quick and remove the CPU heatsink, which is not too difficult. Just a couple of tension screws, really. And again, the dust that I'm pulling out of this thing leads me to believe that it might have actually been a good idea that I tore this thing apart tonight, because it's kind of been really toasty lately, and well, you can tell that's pretty clogged. And I'll give you guys a really quick tip. I like to use this particular product for dusting, dedusting things. It's a Coleman Recharge Quick Pump for an air mattress. You can dedust dozens of computers before it goes dead. It's $24. It has a rechargeable, I think lithium, no actually it's probably nickel metal hydrate in it. But this thing works wonders. And you'll probably, you get more use out of this thing than you'll out of one can of air, and it has about the same airflow. See, that was really quick and very simple. It's still a little bit dusty, but I don't think even canned air would have done that much better on that, because I think that's like been caked on there, so it actually looks like there's some sort of grease or something that has gotten into the system and caked the dust onto the pieces of it. Now, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at the system. What's left in here? We've got the two fans here and here. The CPU, which is a 2.13 gigahertz, 2 meg, 533 Intel Centrino. It's a single core. It's a mobile processor. So there you go. It's pretty small. It's actually roughly about the same size as the Pentium 4 chips, and this is actually the same size of processor that they're still using today. It's not the same processor, I assure you, because they're on like Core 2 Duo, and now we're on iCore 7. Actually, I can't say I've never seen an iCore 7 yet mobile, so I can't claim the same size and it looks exactly the same. But I've seen the Pentium 2 or the Core 2 Duos. They look exactly like this. So let's go ahead and, for the last step, the CPU is really easy to remove. It's just one screw. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. But the only other component that you might need to replace is the main board, and I'm not going to do that because it's a pain in the butt. But basically, is you're going to have to remove the rest of this, which is going to be these things that go to the subwoofer, the speakers, and then you're going to have to remove this tray that has the PCMCIA card, and some of these other things, and then you probably have to lift the board out and pull it away like this. And it's a really tricky thing to do. You got to be careful because it is a pain to reset them. I've fought with them many times, but let's go ahead and take apart this. There's two connectors here. The first one actually goes to this USB daughter board, and then there's the smaller one, which I believe actually goes to the RGB controller, and then the fan, and then there's two screws for this thing. So let's go ahead and remove those two screws. Quick. All right. Oops. Well, that happens occasionally. That's why it's actually really good to have a pair of pliers or a good magnet that's tiny that you can stuff in there. But it's good occasionally to pull out your fan, and even your fan once in a while needs to be dedusted. It's a pretty simple Lehman fan. The other one's a little bit smaller. Let's go ahead and remove that one before I run out of film or memory. So again, the two screws. Then we've got the fan speed controller, the fan power, and then the RGB light. And there you have it. The two fans have been removed from the Dell XPS. There isn't much more excitingness to this. The rest of it's pretty much straightforward. That's a teardown of a Dell XPS Gen 2.